Hey there, Saki here from Saki Tech, and in today's video I will be sharing over 200 plus tips, tricks, hidden features, and basically a full and complete tutorial for your Samsung Galaxy Note 8. The Note 8 is one of the most advanced smartphones in the world with deep and rich features. And I want to make sure that you gain complete mastery over this titan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with some light and quick tips and then dive in deeper to some advanced tactics that will blow you away. We will talk about security, the edge screen secrets, the edge panels, as well as everything you need to know about the mighty S Pen. I will also give you a full tutorial for the Note 8's fantastic camera. This is going to be a long video, so just to summarize, we will start with some basic tips, then move on to advanced tactics, and towards the end we will have entire sections dedicated to the edge screen, the S Pen, and the camera. And I will time code all the major topics so you can navigate easier. So let's dive in and discover. And of course, if you do use Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, make sure to follow me on all at Saki Tech Online. All right, let's go. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is called the face widgets on your lock screen. So basically you actually have access to a bunch of widgets on your lock screen. So first let me turn off the phone, go to the lock screen, show you what they are, and then I'm going to show you how to enable them and customize them. Alright, so let's go to the lock screen. And the first thing I want you guys to take a look at, let me get rid of that, is at the bottom here under the date it says subscribe to Saki Tech. And also, the reason that says it because I put it there. And also, if you swipe over, you actually get a music player. If you have music playing in the background, if you swipe over one more time, you'll see your daily appointments. And if you swipe over one more time, you'll see your next alarm. So those are the face widgets. You have access to 4 of these guys. So again, face widgets and the information at the bottom. So let's go and see how to enable them and also customize them. So go into the settings, and then go into the lock screen and security, and from here at the bottom here it says information and face widgets. Tap on it, and the first thing I'm going to show you before we go into the face widgets is the contact information. If you tap this, you can create a one word or a phrase here that's going to show up on the lock screen just like I showed you. Alright, so you can edit this however you want. So this one says subscribe to Saki Tech, which is something you should do anyway. And then here it says face widgets. If you tap it, as you can see, you can enable 3 options. You can do the music controller, today's schedule, and the next alarm. And of course, if you don't want them, you can disable them. On top of that, you can also reorder them by importance. So if I tap on reorder on the top here, I can take the music controller and I can put that into secondary position in case I'm more interested in today's schedule. Alright, so then go back and you're all good to go. So that's that. Let's move on to the next tip. Alright, let's move on to the next tip. And of course the next thing I want to talk about has to do with your home screen. So basically if you press and hold on the screen or if you pinch on the screen, it brings up the menu. And from here, let's go over to this app screen. What you could do is if you tap on the home screen settings, you can change the home screen grid. Alright, so if I tap this, I can go to 5x6, and that simply allows you to add more apps onto your screen if that is something you want to do. You can also go 4x5, which is going to reduce the capacity of these apps on the screen. So you have all these different grid options. Just so you know, I like the 5x5. It just makes sense for some reason. Let me go cancel this out. Go back into here, and then the other thing I want to show you guys is home screen layout. So if you tap this, you actually have 2 options. The first one is you have a home screen and an app screen separately. If you want, you can only have a home screen and there will be no apps. All the apps are going to be on the home screen. You're not going to have an app drawer anymore. So with this guy, if you go back out, you have access to this app drawer, this thing right here. Okay? So if you want, the app drawer can be completely eliminated. It's really up to you. Let's go back in there, home screen settings, you tap on this, And if you choose this, you're going to eliminate the app drawer, and all the apps that you have downloaded, they're just going to show up on your home screens. As it says right here, all your apps will be shown on the home screen. So give it a try. If you like it, keep it that way. If not, I like it better like this when things are categorized. And let's move on to the next tip. Now this one over here is the apps screen grid. If you tap this, this actually controls the grid system in your app drawer. So you can go 4x6, it's going to fit less apps, or you can go 5x6, it's going to fit even more apps. And one more thing I'm going to show you guys is how to move multiple apps at the same time from one home screen to the next home screen. So basically all you want to do is, let's say I want to move these 5 apps to here. Normally I would have to do it one by one, which is a pain in the ass. So what I could do is I can tap and hold. I can say select multiple items. I can select them all that I wanted to move, and then just press and hold, and I'll go over here and just drop it right there. Okay, very easy thing to do. And using the same method, if you press and hold something and say select multiple items, you could also uninstall multiple items together. Okay, so this actually uninstalls the app from your phone. That's absolutely fantastic. And of course, if you want, you can create a folder. So if I click this, let's say I select 3 apps and I click create folder, boom, all that goes into one app. I give it a name and I give it a color, and you're good to go. All right, well, let's move on to the next app tip. Now the next thing I'm going to talk about is called the always on display. So basically when your phone the screen is turned off, there is a persistent always on display that you can have enabled that will show you the time, the date, your appointments, and a couple notifications. So let me show you what that looks like really quick. So even though it's very light, which it's supposed to be because it's supposed to save the battery as much as possible, you can see that there's an always on display. It's showing you the time, it's giving you the date, it's saying subscribe to Saki Tech, giving you the battery percentage meter, and also it's showing me 2 notifications at the bottom here. So what you could do with this thing is you can customize it, and you can also go and buy or download for free new always on display screens to completely customize your phone. So this is the always on display. We're at the lock screen. So I'm going to press and hold this. It's going to go to the lock screen. I'm going to unlock the screen. Now let's go into the settings over here. Go to lock screen and security, and then go into always on display. Now as you can see, the always on display right now is only enabled from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. These are the times you could be sleeping. So you don't need to have the always on display when you are actually awake. But at nighttime you can use it to glance at it, right? So you can edit that as well. So go inside there, and first and foremost, just take a look at this. You can set the schedule here, or you can just enable it so it shows all the time. But the biggest thing I want to show you guys is obviously you have all these options. You can pick from these different always on displays. You have dual clocks, you have the calendar view, you have the image view where you can actually put a picture in there. You have the edge clock where a clock shows on the edge. But let's just take a look at this digital clock. So if I tap this, obviously I can go in here, I can pick up a new clock style. I can go like that. I can pick a different color, and I can also change the background. Okay, so I can have a little green background. It's going to be hard to see, but there's different backgrounds here. And I can also click apply, and now that's my new always on display. This is what I will see when the phone is actually turned off. All right. And the other thing is over here it says content to show. If I tap on that, it allows you to customize the always on display as to what it shows you. Do you want to see the home button, clock, or information, or do you just want to see the clock or information, or do you want to see the home button only? If I keep this, take a look at what happens. So everything is gone. So take a look at this. Hi Bixby, lock the screen. So all you'll see is a persistent icon for the home screen, so you know exactly where it is at. All right. So that's an option you have with the always on display, and this eats minimum battery life. So press and hold. Go back into the settings over here. Lock screen and security, always on display. Let's just go with the maximum, so you have all the options. And finally, you can actually go and download additional always on display modes. So if I click this, I can say go to Samsung themes. It's going to take me to the theme store. At the bottom you have a panel. Go to AOD, and these are all the always on displays you can download, and some of these things are absolutely fantastic. So let's just look at this one. This one says recommended. Go inside. And then some of them you're going to have to pay for, and some of them are free. So this one is free. That one you have to pay for. No big deal. Let's take a look at this one here. So you can go and you can actually download this. This could be your always on display with that nice background in the back. So all you do is click download, and after the download is complete, you just click apply, and that becomes your always on display. Again though, there's so much going on here. Look at that. You've got the world over here, which looks absolutely beautiful. And if you go back here, you have this tree. Okay, again, it looks very beautiful. So you have all these options. So I encourage you to go to the store and check all these things out. So that was the always on display. Let's move on to the next tip. So the next tip has to do with the phone application. We use our phones all the time, so it's normal to know a little bit more about this phone application here. So let me go inside, and there's my contacts, all right? And basically, the first thing I'm going to show you guys is, this is me, that's your information, that's your favorite contacts, and this is your frequently contacted contacts, and everything else is just your standard contacts, all right? So this favorite screen here is something you can actually populate. So what I could do is, let's say there's a contact that I want to put into my favorites. All I do is tap on that contact, go into the details, and then there's a star symbol. If I tap that star symbol, it's added to my favorites. When I go back out, you'll see that it shows up right here for quick and easy access. And the next thing I'm going to show you guys is, if you go into the settings, you can just go to the dialer if you want. Doesn't really matter where you are. You can tap this button, go to the settings, and from here at the bottom it says answering and ending calls. In the middle, I mean, you tap that. Oops, wrong thing. Tap this, and from here you can use the volume buttons to answer calls, or you can actually use the power key to end a call. So if I enable these, let's say somebody was calling me, I can press the volume key to take that call instead of swiping on the screen. Or when I'm done talking to somebody, I want to hang up, instead of pressing the red button, I can click the power button, and that's going to also end the call. Alright, so I'm going to keep those enabled because I like to use those options. Let me go back and show you the final thing with the phone. So go back into settings on the top, tap on speed dial, and here you can assign quick contacts to your speed dial. So for number 2, they're talking about these keys, by the way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me go back here. So for number 2, I'm going to assign the contact, let's say AL, this guy. Okay, so number 2 is now assigned to that contact, Altair. So let me go back here. If I press and hold, it's going to start to dial him immediately. Alrighty, so you can have a lot of speed contacts assigned here. If you do go back in here, as you can see, you can also change the number. If you tap this, you can pick any number you want. Now, you can have up to, well, a lot of them. Okay, you can have unlimited amounts of basically quick contacts. Now, how does it work? If you go to 15 and you pick, let's say, let's do the same guy. Okay, you can do that too. You can use the same people. Go back out. All you do is you type in 15, and that brings them up right away. You can tap it, or you can click call, and it's going to call them directly. Okay, so you can go beyond 9 for speed dials. The final thing I'm going to talk about has to do with the performance mode options on your phone. So if you go into your settings, and if you go to the device maintenance, what you could do is you can go to performance mode, and from here you have 4 options. Optimize mode, which is recommended for daily use. You got the game option, which is recommended for gaming. You have entertainment for videos, and high performance just for everything maximum. So let's try the game mode. If you tap this, it's going to tell you what it's going to change. You're going to say apply, and it's going to actually start. Well, you have to, this is the first time I'm doing this, so it might have to, you may have to accept some terms and conditions. But as you can see, it is turning on the game mode. So now the phone is optimized for maximum game performance. You can do the same with the high performance. If I tap this, look, it's going to increase the brightness by 10%, and it's going to change the screen resolution to maximum. All right, so if you apply that, that's what's going to happen. Same thing with entertainment. Screen brightness goes up, highest screen resolution, video enhancer gets turned on, and you also get the upscaling option enabled. All right, so you have all these options, but I recommend for daily use to make sure you keep it at optimized, which balances the battery life and everything else. All right, so the first thing I want to customize is the navigation bar at the bottom over here. As you can see, there's a back button, there's a home button, and also there is a recent key button. Now what you want to do is you want to go into the settings, then you want to go into the display, and then scroll down to where it says navigation. It's going to be right there, navigation bar. You tap on the navigation bar and you have a slew of options here that you can modify. Now the first thing is, of course, you can change the background color. Now as you can see, I have a light purple here, but you can switch between these colors and they will change as you select them on the screen. Okay, so you can pick the one that you like. Let me keep it at the yellow one over here. And the number two thing I would immediately change for future use is the button layout at the bottom here. So when you tap this guy, it allows you to actually switch the back key with the recent key. So if I tap this, the back key goes over here. So if I tap this, it goes back. Let me go back in there. And the recent key goes over here. If you tap this guy, you get the multitasking pane from where you can select apps and go into the multitasking mode. Now I prefer to have it this way, so I'll keep it just like that. I want the back key over here. Now if you look at the bottom here carefully, there's a black dot. When that black dot is actually a dot, it is actually active. So what that allows to happen is that actually allows the navigation bar to persist at all screens. Okay, so no matter what app you launch, no matter what website you go to, you will always see this navigation bar at the bottom. If you want a full screen experience without the distraction of this button, what you would do is you would enable this option on the top that says show and hide button. So I can actually disable that or enable that. Once it is enabled, I can double tap to disable this navigation bar. Actually not disable it, but hide it. So let me double tap, and as you can see, it is now actually hidden. And I get a more immersive experience. I actually get to see the full screen without any distractions. Of course, at any time, I can pull that thing up. And of course, if I want to re-enable the bar, I can just pull that up, double tap, and it gets re-enabled and it's permanently attached on this line. Again, it's a matter of choice. Now, as you enable or disable this, you can actually tap on here. So if you tap here, it actually turns off that button completely. You don't even have the option to hide it or bring it back up. So enable that, and if you tap this, you can assign it individually to the apps that you choose. Okay, so it's really customizable if you so desire. So not only can you have it on, you can also choose what applications it actually applies to. Okay, so let's go back, just keep that in mind. And finally over here it says hard press home button. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but the home button here is actually a button that can sense the pressure that you're pressing the screen with. And if you tap this over here, so you can actually just disable that or enable it, right? So that's the home button right there. You can hard press it. You can enable or disable the hard press functionality. If you disable that, this is not pressure sensitive anymore. If you enable it, it is now pressure sensitive. So if you tap on this, you can get to pick the levels. So how hard do you want to press to activate that button? Okay, so you can do light press or you can do very strong press. That means you really have to press down on it. So let's just keep it at the medium. And correlating to that option is this one. This one says unlock with home button. So basically if you enable this, and let's say you don't have a lock screen enabled, so let me turn off the phone really quick. So the phone is turned off, but it does have the always on display enabled that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But right now, all I have to do is press and hold this home button, and it's going to lock the screen and go straight to the home screen. Okay? I mean, unlock the screen. So normally, if I didn't have that option enabled, the one we were just talking about, let me go back to display, scroll all the way down, go to navigation bar. So if I did not have this button enabled, I could have still pressed the home button, but it would not have taken me to the home screen. It would have taken me to the lock screen. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So let me disable this thing, go back home, turn off the phone again, and this time when I press and hold on this thing, it takes me to the lock screen from where I can unlock. All right? But if I had that option enabled, let me go back, oops, go to display, go to navigation bar, and then go over here and enable that. Anytime I press this button, if I don't have a PIN number or any other security, it goes straight to the home page, bypassing the lock screen. Alright, so those are the navigation bar tactics. Let's move on to the next set of tips. Now, as you can see, if you look at the bottom here, you don't see a traditional app drawer icon. So what you would have to do to access the drawer is to swipe up anywhere on the screen or even swipe down. Alright? Now, what if you want to see the actual app drawer instead of 5 apps? You could enable it if you miss it. So just press and hold on the screen, then go into home screen home screen settings over here, and then over here it says apps button. Tap on it and simply say show apps button. Click apply. Now when you go back out, you're actually going to have an apps button, and you can click on it. It's going to bring your app drawer. Alright, so you can still swipe up and down, but some people miss the traditional styling, so if you tap this now, you can access it. Fantastic. Let's move on to the next tip. Alright, the next quick tip is, let's go up to a folder, and basically if you create a folder, you can tap on that folder and you can actually color code that to make it more distinctive based on your style. So if you were actually working with a finance folder, you could give it a green color, so that would denote money. Let me tap this again. Let's just keep blue over here for Google. And the other thing you can do with the folders is, instead of dragging and dropping individual apps into the folder, you can tap on this, you can tap on add apps, and you can pick an app and it will go right into the folder. So that's a Google folder. Here's Google Drive. Let me tap on that and click add, and as you can see, it goes straight into the folder, so you don't have to worry about dragging and dropping, which could be a pain in the ass every now and then. And let's talk about one more thing while we're here. So let's go up to any app over here. All you want to do is slowly press and hold on the app, and it brings up a menu for every single app. You can move apps, you can remove the shortcut, you can uninstall the app right from here. You can actually tap on app info, which will take you into the actual app detail screen from where you can do a lot of stuff. We'll talk about those in some other videos as well. And again, if you tap and hold slowly, you can also tap this, and this allows you to actually pick multiple apps, and you can actually put them into a folder. So I can say create folder, and as you can see now, it puts them all in a folder. Let's just say test for now. Let's do a color code, and now we have a folder so very easily. And of course, beyond that, if I tap and hold again, just to give you more examples, tap on select multiple items. And again, if you select items, you can do other things, like you can remove them all at the same time. You can uninstall them together, or like I just demonstrated, you can do a create folder. So these are some very useful UI features that make life easy. All right, so let me go back out and move on to the next tip. And by the way, if you have an AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile versions of the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 or any other carrier phone, if you go into your app drawer, you will see a bunch of bloatware. So like AT&T folder right here. So if there's anything you don't need here, again, you can press and hold on that individual app and simply disable that app, so that app actually disappears and it doesn't bother you anymore. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the messages, text messages. So here's the text message right here. It's something we use a lot, so it only makes sense to customize it a little bit. So if I go into this text message here, as you can see, it's a white background and everything just looks very basic. What you could do is you can customize the background if you so desire. So go back to the main screen, go into the settings here, and then go over to where it says backgrounds. You tap on that, and that allows you to pick a different background for your background images. And of course, if you had any pictures in your gallery, okay, so let's say you download a picture from the internet, or maybe you have some pictures that you took of your friends or your dog or whatever, you can tap this, it will go into your gallery, and you can put a picture from your gallery right on your text messages. Now when I go back out, it looks much more interesting. It doesn't look as bland as a white background. The other thing you want to do is, go back to message settings, go to the font size, disable this option. This is using the phone's font size for your text messages, and now you can actually increase or decrease the size of your text messages based on what looks good to you. So if I go back in here, as you can see, is nice and big so you can see it easier if you wanted to. It only applies to your text messaging app. Now obviously the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 is a very large phone. You have 6.3 inches of display space. And sometimes when you're holding your phone with one hand, it might be a little hard to actually use the phone with just your thumb. The good thing is there's a unique software feature built into the Note 8 that can minimize the entire phone, not the actual phone obviously, but the display. It minimizes the display and you can now reach everything with one hand. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is something I use on a daily basis. So go to the settings, go to advanced features, and then go into the one-handed mode. When you go into one-handed mode, you just enable that guy, and at the bottom here says, how do you want to reduce the screen size? You can either use a gesture or you can tap the home button 3 times. Let's use the tap the home button 3 times feature. So now if I tap this 3 times, it's going to minimize the display. So 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. And of course, if you are right-handed or left-handed, you can adjust the justification. So I can tap this button here, it'll come this way, or I can tap that and it will go this way. But let me bring it back over here, and now as you can see, I can operate this phone as if it was the entire phone, but I can access the whole thing with my thumb. I can bring down the notifications panel and everything else, App Store, whatever you want to do. And you can always tap this settings button. It will take you back into the settings. It's a quick shortcut, and you can disable it by just tapping on that. Or what you could do is you can tap outside the area of the actual screen right here, and that brings it, re-maximize it to the full screen. Absolutely beautiful option. And the next thing I'm going to have you do, it's a hidden feature. Let's go back into the settings. It's something I want everybody to do because it actually makes sure that your phone runs at optimum condition at all times. So go into the settings and scroll all the way down to general management. Tap on this thing and then go into reset. And then at the bottom it says auto restart. So basically if you read the description, it says optimize your phones by restarting it automatically once a week. Alright, so if you enable this, what you could do is you can tap on this also. Just one more thing I want you guys to be aware of. You will always, some menus, they're going to give you a button on this side. There's going to be a little line like that, and then there's going to be some text on this side. You can enable the menu option over here with this button, but you can always tap on the text to go into the details. Okay, so auto restart is now enabled. What you want to do is you want to pick a time and a day. So if you go to this one, you can do 4 a.m. maybe when you're sleeping, and then pick a day. Just once a week is enough. Click every Monday. So every Monday at 4 a.m. the phone is going to restart, and that's just going to make sure that the phone is running at optimum condition. Something I recommend everybody do. Alright, and the final tip I'm going to give you guys is something that I use on a daily basis all the time. I've been using this on my S8, S8 Plus, and I'll be using on my Note 8. So go into the settings and go into advanced features. Tap it, and then somewhere here it's going to say finger sensor gestures. Tap on this thing, and if you enable this, what you could do now is you can use the fingerprint sensor on the back of the device to pull down the notifications panel. Let me show you how that works. So here's a fingerprint sensor. If I pull this down, notifications panel comes up. If I pull it up, it goes back up. So take a look at that. Swipe down, it comes down. Swipe up, it goes up. Okay? An absolutely great way to bring down the notifications panel if you so desire. Alright, so let's go into the settings really quick and let's see what I'm talking about. So here's the advanced features. And if you tap on advanced features, you get a whole slew of options that are absolutely fantastic to use. Now the only thing I'm not going to cover in this list is the S Pen features, because I already made a separate video covering the entirety of the S Pen and all the related features. So if you do want to learn about all the advanced S Pen features, see the link in the description box below for the full coverage video. And of course, I'm going to be talking about the games feature here also in detail, but I'll leave that for the last because not everybody plays games. So first, I'm going to concentrate on all the everyday features that most people use, and then at the end, I'm going to talk about the game's advanced feature functions that have a lot of functionality that'll be useful for actual mobile gamers. Alright, so the first feature I want to talk about is all the way at the bottom. It's called the Video Enhancer Mode. So let's tap on it really quick and you go inside. And basically when you enable this option, gets enabled and disabled from here, it enhances the image quality of your videos to enjoy brighter and more vivid colors, as it says here. And here's the apps that this effect actually applies to. Now as you download more and more video apps, and if those apps are supported, they will populate down here. So not every app is going to work with the video enhancer function for picture clarity. Okay, and the next thing I want to talk about really quick is called the swipe to call or send messages. So basically this is a very nice feature. If you tap on it, it says swipe a contact or number right to make a call and left to send a message. So if I go into my phone here or even into my messages, I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I go over here, if I go over to a contact, what I can do is here's my number and I have two options. I can swipe to the left to send a message, or I can swipe to the right to make a call. And if I do the swipe, it'll just go right into the message application. I can start typing immediately. Same thing with the phone. If I swipe it over here, it's going to start to call that number right on the spot. So make sure that that option is in fact enabled. Let's go back in there right over here. Okay, swipe to call or send messages. And of course, here's one of my favorite features. It's called the Easy Mute option. You can tap this, it'll go into the details. And basically, let's say somebody's calling you or you have an alarm coming up. You have a couple options to actually mute the phone on the spot. You can do two things. So let's say somebody's calling you. Either you can just go like that and that's going to mute the call. Or you can just grab the phone, flip it over and put it on the table, screen facing the table. And it's going to mute the actual call as well. This is a very handy feature that makes it easy to mute a call. Now the next really handy feature is called the Direct Share option. When you enable this option, there's a little sharing panel that gets activated on the share screen when you're sharing a photo, music, or any file on your smartphone. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So it's enabled right now. Let me just go to the gallery over here and there's a picture that I want to share with somebody. When you tap on the share icon here, you'll see that on the top you see a quick panel that has a list of people that you contact most frequently on the top. All right, so that is the Direct Share panel that just makes it very easy to share something directly with people you contact frequently. Now if I do go back into the settings over here, just to show you what I'm, just to make it very crystal clear, so disable, go back to the gallery, and if I tap on the share icon, that Direct Share panel is gone. So just don't be confused with that thing. That is for your frequently contacted contacts. This is certainly a feature I use all the time to share photos with people. And let's keep digging into the advanced features menu and find out even more cool stuff. All right, so let's continue on. So here up here is called what is called a direct call. So let's go in there and see what this does. So basically if you enable this and if somebody gives you a call, all you have to do is pick up the phone and bring it to your ear and it's going to actually take that call. It's going to answer that call, all right? You will not have to press a button to actually accept that call. All right, so here's my three favorite options in the advanced features. It's the one-handed mode, the finger sensor gesture, and the quick launch camera. So let's tap on this guy, and basically this guy is designed for people that have small hands or basically people that just want to use their phone with one hand. As you know, the Galaxy Note 8 is a humongous phone, and it's hard to use it with just one hand when the phone is in this full screen position. So what you could do is if you enable this option, it's going to actually minimize the screen to either the left side or the right side, depending on which hand you're holding the phone with, and then you can use the entire thing with just your thumb. So to actually activate the one-handed mode, you have two options. You can use a gesture, you can use the button. With the button, if you tap the home button 3 times, it activates the one-handed mode. And let me use that gesture to show you what I'm talking about. So let's tap this thing 3 times. The home button 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and boom, the screen gets minimized and I can use the entire phone with just one hand. I can exit this, I can pull down the notification center, right? I can go to the app drawer, launch an application. I can do whatever I want and everything's going to happen in this tiny little screen. Now this thing can be right justified, left justified. All right, and I can even pull up the edge screen from here. So the phone is fully functional on a smaller window, but it's fully accessible with my thumb. And of course, this window here is resizable, so you can actually increase or decrease the size if you wanted to. When you're done using the one-handed mode, all you do is tap outside somewhere here, and it goes back into the full screen mode. This is a very handy feature. As far as I remember, Samsung was the first one to come up with this option. Something I use all the time. All right, next up we have the finger sensor gesture. So if you enable this, basically you can use your fingerprint as a way to pull down the notifications panel. So normally what you can do is you can pull down the notifications panel just like that, and if you pull it down again, it comes all the way down. But with this gesture here, it's a really nice option. You put your finger on the fingerprint sensor, right? And you can pull down the notifications panel or pull it up, just like that. Take a look at that. Pull up, pull down, pull up, pull down. And as you can see, it can happen in any orientation. I can have it like that. It still works. Pull up, pull down, pull up. Absolutely fantastic. Let's move on to the next tip. And of course, the quick launch camera, very useful feature. When you double tap the power button from any screen, it brings up the camera. The phone could be locked, it could be in your pocket, it could be in another app watching a video, but then you quickly see a shot. You want to take a quick picture. All you do is double tap this guy, boom, the camera comes right up and you take a picture and you move on with your life. All right? So that's the quick launch camera gesture. And really quick, over here we have something called the Smart Alert. And again, if you go in here, basically what happens is, let's say your phone is sitting on the table flat down, and you had you walked away, you came back, somebody sent you a message, somebody called you, you didn't hear it. All you do is you pick up the phone and it's going to vibrate. That vibration is going to mean that you actually do have messages or phone calls or some other notification waiting for you. Okay, so demonstration is right over here. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is palm swipe to capture. So basically this guy over here, if you enable it, all you want to do is you want to swipe your hand across the edge of the device and it's going to take a screenshot. Now this doesn't mean you can just go like that, okay? Your hand has to actually touch the screen as you swipe, and as you can see, let me just do that one more time. There we go. So as you can see, it just took a screenshot. So that's just one way to take a screenshot of your device. It's called palm swipe to capture. All right, so if you look on the top here, right above the palm swipe to capture, you'll see the smart capture option. When you enable this option, it actually is connected to the palm swipe to capture. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Let me go back in here really quick. Let me do a swipe to capture. And it's going to take a screenshot. At the bottom here, you're going to see a bunch of options. These options that show up at the bottom become available because you actually enabled the smart capture option. And let me go back out here really quick and you'll see show additional options after capturing a screenshot. With Smart Capture, you can hide the areas of the screen, draw on the screenshot, crop the screenshot, and share the screenshot. Okay, so as you can see, these things at the bottom will show up after you take a screenshot using any method available, and then you can do some drawing, some cropping, and some sharing of that screenshot. If you did not have this enabled, and if you took a screenshot, it wouldn't give you those little options at the bottom. Okay, it would just take the screenshot and save the screenshot into the gallery. But with this option enabled, take a screenshot, it's going to give you these options. From here you can crop, okay, you can draw, basically you can do anything that you want on that screenshot. All right, so just be aware of these little details that you may miss if you're not looking carefully. All right, let's continue on with the advanced features. All right, so let's talk about the games. So tap on this guy and enable it. If you don't enable this, you're not going to see this. Let me show you immediately what it means. There's something you're going to see that's called the game launcher. If you tap game launcher, it aggregates all your games, all the apps that you download that are games into this game launching folder for convenient access. Now if you disable this, that folder disappears. So everything is all over the place as far as your games go. So as you can see, there's no more game launcher, but you'll see all these games just sitting haphazardly all over your app's screen. So I like to enable this. It organizes them in a folder. Just take a look at that one more time. If I disable this and re-enable it, it will say that the game launcher added on home screen. So when I go to the home screen, you'll see the game launcher added somewhere on your home screen. In this case, it's going to be all the way in the end over here. So let me just grab that put it the first screen over here. Okay, so that's going to be the game launcher. You can put that anywhere that you want. So launch that. All your games are right here. You can tap this icon. Gives you options. It shows you my games. You can add more apps. You can look at the announcements. You can go into the settings, which takes you back into this screen here. From here you can disable and enable some of these options. But that's not that important. What's really important is the things you can do while you're actually playing a game. So let's go here and let's just launch any game. Okay, so let's launch the Spearman. So with that game mode enabled, what you can do is when you're playing any game, you can swipe from here and you get these options at the bottom here. Okay, and these options all pertain to your gameplay. And you can also, just to quickly let you know, if you swipe up, there's this one button here that allows you to lock the screen, so you can go and do something, come back. When you're ready to resume your game, all you do is just swipe the screen, unlocks the screen, so you can lock that screen really quick. But here's the options that really do matter. At the bottom here, you see that icon, the game launcher icon. You tap it, and from here you can turn the game into a full screen game if it is actually compatible with that option. If it's not compatible, it's going to crash. I'm not going to try that, but you can try it yourself. You can enable no alerts during game. So if I'm playing a game, I'm really into it, I don't want to get any messages, any phone calls, any other notifications, I can disable the alerts. The other thing is you can hard press home button lock. So this home button here, as you can see, is a pressure sensitive button that can be pressed. With this one, it's now locked. All right, so you cannot press this by accident and exit the screen. And then you can also lock the edge touch. So if you do this right now, you can do anything by mistake. I'm swiping up and down and nothing is happening. The notifications will still come up, but that's the only one thing that's going to stay there. And you can also go back in here, and the other options, the really cool options, is you can take a screenshot of a game anytime. So let's say I'm actually playing this game, right? Let's X that out. I'm playing the actual game right now, and let's say that I want to take a screenshot. I go over here, I tap this, I tap on screenshot, boom, it saves it into my gallery. I can do the same thing for recording video. So if I want to record the gameplay of the actual game, I simply go like that, tap this, record. And now it's going to say at the bottom, there's a record button. Okay, so it's recording right now. Let me just go back. And if I go like that, I can press the stop button and that stops recording, and then it saves the recorded gameplay into your Photos gallery application. Alright, so that was the game mode. So let's talk about the secure folder, a powerful feature on the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 that I have come to love and use quite often. This is a software feature and it pertains to security, and it is called the secure folder. Basically, it is a private environment that is locked down with a password or your fingerprint or your irises, inside which you can store private photos, documents, videos, files, and more away from prying eyes. If you're not already using it, you're gonna love it. So let's dive in and take a look at what I'm talking about. And of course, if you do use Instagram or Twitter, make sure to follow me on both at Saki Tech Online. Alright, so the very first thing you want to do is you want to actually enable the secure folder. What you could do is you can either go to the app drawer, and then if you go into Samsung, in there somewhere you'll see the secure folder sitting just there in this case. You can tap that and that's going to initiate the setup process. Or if you do not see it in your app drawer anywhere, you can go to the settings, scroll down to lock screen and security, and scroll all the way down and look for secure folder right here. Tap on this guy and it's going to start you through this process. So if you read this, it says keep prying eyes away from your private files and apps. With secure folder, only you can access the private pictures, notes, and apps on your phone, which is exactly what we want to do. So tap this guy over here, and once you have gone through the slides, just click start. Now it is advisable to use your Samsung account just in case you forget the password to your secure folder. Then you can go ahead and actually reset the PIN number or the password to your secure folder. Click confirm. It's going to ask you what kind of PIN number do you want to secure your secure folder with. In my case, I'm just going to keep this simple. I'm just going to go with PIN. If you want, you can enable fingerprints and iris scanner, so you can use your eyeballs or your fingerprints to access the secure folder. I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. So let's just click next, and let me just pick 0000 for this demonstration, and then click OK, and it said it is creating the secured folder. Now once you create the secure folder, this is exactly what you're going to see. This is the same screen you get to access when you go into the apps, go to Samsung apps, go to secure folder. Then it's going to ask you to put your PIN number. That's why we picked the PIN number in the first place. So I put my PIN number in. Now if I had fingerprints or iris scanner enabled, I would have that option as well. In this case, I only have a PIN number, so I'm just going to click OK, and we go back into that same screen. Now take a look at these apps here. The apps sitting here belong to the secure folder, and they're only accessible by you, as long as you know the PIN number. Now let me do a quick demonstration using the secure folder to show you how you can hide your files so you get the idea. Then we'll come back and dig a little bit deeper to show you some fantastic features. Now as soon as you exit the secure folder, it gets locked down. Alright, so everything that was in the secure folder is on a lockdown. Now let me go to my gallery, my regular gallery, which is outside of my secure folder, this one right here. And as you can see, we're in my albums. Let me go to downloads over here. Here's a picture that I recently downloaded to my phone. Let's say that this was a private picture that I wanted to actually hide, only accessible by me. All I do is tap on it, go to the settings over here, and then at the bottom, in the middle actually, you'll see an option that says Move to Secure Folder. So I tap that, and what's going to happen is it's going to ask me the PIN number, the password for the secure folder. I'm going to put that in, click OK, and as you can see, it says Moving Items to Secure Folder. After that process is complete, you go back out here, and let me go back into the actual secure folder. Again, it's locked, it's been locked out. So if I go back in, it's going to ask me the PIN number again. That's why it's really secure. Anytime you exit it, it locks up. Go back in. Now if I go to the gallery, I'm going to have that picture sitting right here. This picture is completely hidden from anybody else. So let me go to my regular Samsung Notes application where I store my notes. And let's just pull up Samsung Notes. And as you can see, in here I have one note. It says non-secure note for demonstration. So this is a note that's not secure. What if I want to create a note that is fully secured under the secure folder? All I do is go back to my secure folder, which is right here, tap it, put my secret password in there, and then from here I can launch Samsung Notes, and as you can see, it is completely empty. I can click plus, and I can just put a secure note here. Let's just say secure note, okay? And then I can click save, and now this one is actually in my Samsung Notes as well, but it's under the secure folder. So if I go back out, if I exit the secure folder, and if I go to my regular Samsung Notes, you're not going to see it here. All you're going to see is the non-secure note. If I want to see the secure note, I have to go back in the secure folder, and then I would have to go into the Samsung Notes from here, and the secure note is in here, but the non-secure note is not here. So everything that happens outside of secure note stays outside, but everything that happens inside of the secure folder stays inside the secure folder. Even the camera. So if I go out here, right, and if I take a picture right now, as you can see, I'm launching the camera through the secured folder. I tap this, I take a picture, there we go. I go back out, and then I go to the gallery here, and that picture that I just took, the dark picture, is right here. It's sitting in the secure folder. If I exit and go back into the regular gallery, it's not going to be there. That's the beauty of the secure folder. All you have to understand is everything that happens inside the secure folder stays inside the secure folder. Okay? You can either take pictures and have them securely saved directly into the gallery, or you can go into your gallery application and you can move individual images to your secure folder. And of course, you can do the same thing with anything in here. So if I go back in here, unlock it, you can do anything here with the calendar. You can have secure appointments. You can have secure internet browsing activity, contacts, email, My files, you can even hide files. So if I go to my files over here, let me go to the regular my files. So let's launch this. You'll have access to everything, right? Let's just go to audio, and here's a music file. What I can do is I can select this guy, I can tap this icon, and I can move it to the secure folder. I tap this, 2, 3, 4, boom. It's been moved. So now this thing is also, if I go back to audio, in the regular audio on my files application, you're not going to see it. If I want to access it, boom, go to secure folder. Now if I go to my files over here, tap on audio, and it's right there. Okay, so you can secure just about anything. Docs, apps, files, video images, anything you want. Alright, now that you understand the concept, you can start hiding your stuff, but there's a couple more things you can do here. Let's enter, and as you can see from here, you can just, if you tap this, it locks the secure folder and exits it. From here you can add more apps, so you can add extra apps into your secure folder if you want to create double copies, one secure, one non-secure. For example, this gallery here is a copy of the app gallery, but this is the secure version. You can do the same thing with a lot of apps here. Okay, and then what you could do is you can add files. If you tap this, it's going to allow you to add individual files into your secure folder. You can also edit the apps. You don't want one of these apps, you can delete them. And then if you go here, you can go into the settings. From the settings, you can change your lock type. You can even enable, if you want, fingerprints and irises right from here, just in case you want to use those mediums as security. Now make sure that this option here is enabled. It says auto lock secured folder automatically each time when you leave the app. So make sure it's not set to 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You want immediate security. So it's immediately is good. And then you have a couple other things here you can do if you want to see it. You can even hide the secure folder, even though I don't recommend that. Here's what I recommend. If you enable this, it's going to hide your secured folder, and then it's just going to be a pain in the ass to come back and access it. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to go back here, tap this icon, and maybe just use customize. So instead of saying secure folder, you can just say, let's just say S, just an example. And then let's pull this down, and you can pick a folder, a folder icon here. So you can pick S. You can give it a very casual name. You can just go like, maybe pretend it's a banking app, which is naturally locked. So nobody will suspect that it was actually a secure folder. So if I had this as a bank account, right? Bank account, let's just say bank. Even if somebody clicks it and it asks for a password, it's natural that it's going to ask for a password for something that is titled a bank. So that's one way to make it even more secure. But the bottom line is you can pick any app that you want. Any icon you want here. You have all these customization options, and you can give it individual names. So click apply. Now, when I go back into the Samsung, as you can see, it doesn't say secure folder, it says app, and when somebody taps it, it just asks for a password, which is natural. Everybody's hiding their bank account information. So that's basically what secure folder is, all right? Let me go back in here really quick to my bank account. Boom. There's so much going on here that you can do. Like I said, you can hide pictures, you can take pictures with your camera that go directly into the gallery, already secured. You can create secure calendar entries just for yourself, and then like I said, just come here, take a look at all these settings and get used to them, and also explore the backup and restore setting that allows you to actually back up your entire secure folder. Alright, so let's exit and go back out. Hi Bixby, go to the home screen.
Tell me your voice password to continue.
Saki Tech. I was able to unlock my phone using a voice password on the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 using Bixby. So let's dive in and find out how to get this fantastic feature set up. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is you want to scroll over to Bixby Home, and then go into the settings over here from the top, go to the settings, and scroll down to where it says unlock with voice password. Now as you can see in this scenario, it is currently turned off, which I just did a couple seconds ago, so I can walk you through the whole process. So go here and tap it, And here it's going to ask you to put your regular PIN number in that you use to unlock your phone, or perhaps a password, whatever you have set. So let me put that in right now. And then you come to this menu. From here, what you want to do is you want to enable this option here that says off. Just turn that on and it's going to take you to this screen. So as you can see on the screen, it says unlock your phone with your voice while using Bixby. So let me just click continue and see what happens. So it wants me to create a voice password, and they want to make sure that you only use 2 to 4 syllables. It cannot be a long phrase. It has to be a short word or a phrase. It says tap the Bixby logo below to start. So when you're ready, do that. Let me do it right now. Saki Tech. Alright, so it registered my password correctly. If it's saying if this is correct, continue, otherwise try again. It is correct, so let's continue, see what happens. Saki Tech. I'll call you when the alarm rings. I've set a reminder to send a message to mom. Beautiful. So the voice password is set. So as you saw, I had to read some phrases and repeat my password a couple times just so Bixby can recognize my voice properly. So it says, say Saki Tech to unlock your phone when Bixby asks for your password for your voice password. So let's put this to test. Let me lock the phone using Bixby. Hi Bixby, lock the screen. Hi Bixby, go to the home screen.
Tell me your voice password to continue.
Saki Tech. Absolutely fantastic. And I just want to let you know, you can also do other things. You don't have to go straight to the home screen. You can do things like this. Let me lock the screen one more time. Hi Bixby, lock the screen. Hi Bixby, go to the display settings.
Tell me your voice password to continue.
Saki Tech.
Alright, here are your display settings.
Fantastic. So you can actually tell Bixby to do something before even you lock your phone, and then it's going to ask you to actually enter your voice password, say it out loud, and it's going to take you directly to where you want it to go. For example, I could have told Bixby just to go straight to the gallery, and then I would have said my voice password, and boom, I would have been at the gallery. Alright, so as you may or may not know, the Samsung Galaxy S8 has a built-in theming engine inside it that allows you to pick a lot of different themes. Now there's two ways to access this theming engine. The first way is to press and hold on the screen, and then you can tap on wallpapers and themes. That's going to take you into the theming store right here. And of course, if you cannot access this, that simply means that you don't have a Samsung account. You need to have a Samsung account to log into this store. And the other way to access the store is to go into the settings and then simply go to wallpapers and themes, and boom, you land at the same location. Now the thing with the theme store is there's actually 4 different things you can do. At the bottom here you have a bar. It says wallpapers, themes, icons, and AODs. AODs are the always on display. We're going to be concerned about the theme store, but everything you're going to find out over here is the same basically that applies to the other guys. Now with the theme store, in the very beginning, you're only going to have 1 or 2 themes installed where it says My Themes. So if you want to view everything, you just tap on it and it's going to view all of them. And then if you want to select and apply a theme, you simply click on that guy and you click Apply. So let's apply this just to show you how it works. It is a very quick process, as you can see. And basically after this task is over, take a look at the icon packs. The icon packs have in fact changed. And if I swipe over to go to the app tray, everything in here is changed as well. Even the folder colors match that green theme as well as the icon colors. And if I pull down the notifications panel, it's the same story. So here's the quick toggle screen, and as you can see, it's all black and green, which matches the rest of the theme. And of course, if I keep going inside, let's go to the settings. Same story with the settings. So you get a brand new settings look. And of course, if you go to the phone dialer, it's the same story. Okay, and finally, if you go into the messages, which is right here, let's go to any one of these messages in here. And as you can see, it's the same exact story. Same background, same color theme. So that's what it means to actually change the theme on your Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Now let's go back to that theme store really quick. We have so many more options. So let's go to themes. And on the top here, you'll see featured, you'll see top, and you'll see new. Now some of these themes you can buy and some of them are free. For example, I can go to the top themes over here and then I can tap on that icon here where it says all, and then it's going to give me the option to either say free or paid. So if I tap on free, all the free themes get listed over here, and as you can see, there are so many of them over here. Some of them look not so good, but many of them look very good. And of course, if you want something even more fancy, you can buy them. So if you go over here, you go to paid, and then you start to get some really fancy themes, such as this guy over here. And of course, if you want to try one of the themes that are paid, you can download the trial. The trial allows you to apply a theme for 10 minutes. So you can see exactly what it looks like before buying it. Of course, you can also tap on these pictures and they'll show you everything. That's going to be the lock screen, home screen, the phone dialer. You've got the messages, the contacts, the notifications panel, and everything else. Okay? So there's two ways to trial these things. You can look at the pictures or you can download and install the trial. And of course you can do the same exact thing by tapping the new over here. When you go to new themes, you can also do free and paid. Now let's go back to our themes. If you want to go and see your own installed themes, you just pull down and that brings your My Themes. The other thing you can do is you can tap this icon and you can actually browse by categories or even by color palette. So if your favorite color is red, you can tap on red, and that's going to bring all the red themes in front of you, okay? Such as this one right over here. Let's just take a look at that. So that's the world. It's got some red icons and everything. Doesn't look too good, but there's also, if you keep looking, you'll find some really good ones, okay? Like this one over here. That doesn't look too bad. Scroll over. Maybe not for a guy, but it's not too bad for a lady. So go back here. Again, you can go by colors or by topic. So travel, cute, colorful, whatever. If you tap on technology here, you're going to be facing the technological themes, which could be, if you keep looking, you can find some really nice ones, such as this one over here. Tap on that. Now that's a very nice, futuristic, and clean looking theme. Okay, let's see. It is paid, so you would have to download the trial to see if you like it. Alright, so that's one thing. You can search by category, and then you can also tap the search icon and just search whatever you want. You can search for anime, so if I search this guy, it's going to bring up anime related themes as well. And one thing I forgot to mention, when you apply a theme, it also changes the keyboard. So this is the theme I have currently, so the keyboard is matching that theme, as you can see. So let's go back here, and then you can tap this icon here. You can go to My Page and also Settings. If you go to My Page, you'll basically see all the purchased items. If you ever purchase themes and you switch your phones, let's say you had a Galaxy S8 Plus and you got a Note 8, you can access them right here. You can access all your purchased themes and wallpapers and all that good stuff. And then the other thing is, if you go over here, you can tap on Settings. And there's a couple things here you can modify. Not a big deal, but you have settings everywhere in this phone. And while we're on the topic of themes, if you don't care about changing the theme, but you do want to change perhaps the icons only, for example, these guys here are the icons, you can actually go at the bottom here, it says icons. Tap it. You can download individual icons for your phone. Again, you have My Icons. You can view them all. I only have one right now. Never got any so far. But you can go in there and you can just purchase different icons and apply that to your phone. And you can customize your phone that way as well. Okay? All you do is you download and you apply it, just like the theme. And then all the icons over here are going to look different. Let me go back into the themes here. Go to the top to My Themes. Oops, Themes. And just go back to the regular one. Or let me just show you a different one. Take a look at this one, for example. Click apply. There we go. And that's just another theme. If I go back here, everything is going to be a little bit different. Go to the settings. You see every color has changed. So when I say edge panels, this is what I'm talking about. You pull from the side and you get access to a bunch of panels. Each one of these things is called a panel. That's one panel, that's another panel, and that's another panel. And then you have all these panels you can add if you so desire. Now the first thing I'm going to show you really quick is some of my favorite panels. So this one here is the soft key edge panel. This panel replicates the keys that you see at the bottom here. So as you can see, you have the home button, you have the recent apps button, you've got the back button, and you have a bunch of other buttons here. They also add into the edge panel. But here's the home button. You tap this, it goes home. If you tap this, it brings up the recent apps, which we don't have any right now. And again, if you tap this, it goes back. And then you can also, what you can do is if you tap this guy here, it can take a screen capture, okay? So you don't have to do anything else. You can use the edge panel to take a screen capture. And if you want, you can even lock the phone. So if you pull over, you tap this, the phone is now locked. So that is one of my edge panels. That's called the soft key edge. Now the great news is all these panels are fully customizable. So you can add more panels. You can even reorder panels by importance, and you can do a whole lot more. So to customize the edge panels, you have to tap on this settings icon. It takes you into the edge panels screen. Now this is not the only way to come to this screen. I'm going to show you one more way. So if you do go into the settings, and if you go to display, you can scroll down to where it says edge screen. You tap that, and then from here you can tap on this, and you're in the same menu that we just came to from the actual edge panels screen. So the very first thing I'm going to talk about is how to reorder edge panels. Now let's take a look at it one more time. You have the soft key edge, you've got the apps edge, and you've got device maintenance, and then I have a bunch of other panels here. And this is what the order is going to look like when I go back out here and pull it in. Okay, so that's going to be the soft key edge. Then I'm going to have the apps edge. These are app shortcuts. And then I have the device maintenance screen and all that good stuff. If I go back into the settings, you can see it's the same exact order. So how do you reorder this based on importance, based on what's important to you? All you do is tap this icon here and tap on reorder. And now I can take the weather panel and put it right here in the beginning. And then, of course, I can grab the calculator panel, something I use a lot. I can put it right in the first position. And when I'm done, I go back. Then I go back out. And if you pull in the edge panel, now as you can see, in the first position, you have the calculator panel. You've got the weather panel, and then everything else the way I like it. So that's how you reorder the edge panels. Now let's go back into the settings. I'm going to show you one more thing. Now a lot of you guys are not going to see the soft key edge panel from the get-go. So when you first buy the phone, if you haven't played with the edge panels, you're not going to see the soft key edge. You may not even see the calculator panel. So how did I get them? All you do is tap this download icon here, and it's going to take you to the edge panel store. From here, you can download hundreds of edge panels that you desire. Okay, so as you can see, they have edge maps, they've got edge multi-window, they've got edge lightning, they've got these beautiful creative edge panels you can download and play. Now some of them you have to pay a couple bucks for. For example, that one is a dollar. But if you tap over here, top free, you'll see that there's a lot of free ones. And as you can see, the calculator panel is the one that I downloaded. And again, if you scroll over, you can have things like now playing, that's the music player. You can have an edge panel into which you can add widgets if you so desire. And again, I want you to go to the store and take a look at all these guys. There's so many of them, right? So there's free ones, there's paid ones, there are new ones, and there are also the top ones. Once you're done, all you do is you click that download icon here. Let me just go over here and show you one. So let's say I want to download this, whatever this is. I tap the download icon, it starts to load it, and once it's downloaded, it's going to show the progress bar here. So it's good to go. Okay, so when I go back into my actual edge panels, you'll see that thing that I just downloaded on the last position. Okay, and if you want to activate that, you just click that, and now it's going to be active. Now, some of the edge panels are actually further customizable. So you have a panel like this panel here. This is all you get. It's a calculator panel, and you just do calculations on it, right? But there's some panels, such as the apps edge panel, that is customizable. So let me go back out here. If I pull this in, Let me go to the Apps Edge. As you can see, we have Apps Edge, and here basically you can add your quick shortcuts. The great thing is you can add folders, or you can add single apps, or you can add multi-window apps, which is absolutely fantastic. When you tap on the multi-window apps, it actually opens both apps at the same time in the multi-window format. So I've got this guy right here, YouTube, and at the bottom I've got the video application. All right, so let me go back in here. Let me show you how to get that done. So this one here is videos and YouTube. So if you go to the settings, if there's any app, any panel that is actually customizable, it's going to show it right over here. At the bottom, it's going to have an edit symbol. You tap on it, it takes you into the modification screen. Now with the Apps Edge, it's very simple. If you want something, if you don't want something, you tap the red icon, it goes away. If you want something, you just tap it and it pops right there. Now what if you want to create a pair? So here I have YouTube and I have video. So let me take that off, and all you do is tap on create app pair. So create that, and all you do is you pick, let's say Amazon, and then let's pick the camera. Well, let's do the calculator. Now I have the Amazon and calculator. I can switch them back and forth. So which one you want on the top is going to come on the top, and the one on the bottom is going to be on the bottom. Now if I click done, and if I go back out, and if I go back into that panel, and if I tap this, as you can see, here I have the calculator, and here I have the Amazon shopping app. Absolutely fantastic. Let me go back in here, and again, if you want to create a folder, let's pull that up. If you want to create a folder, you go back, you click edit, and you simply drag and drop something over to one of these guys, and it's going to create a folder. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Let's just do it. Let me just show you. There we go. So now we have a new folder. You can name that folder. Let's just say X, and you can even give it a color. All right. So now you can have folders, apps, and app pairs on your Apps Edge panel. I mean, the level of customization is simply astounding. Now let's go back out. I'm going to show you a couple more things. The other thing I'm going to show you guys is this thing here, the one that pulls in the app panels, is called the Edge handle. And you probably can see it. It's a little white bar on the side. The Edge handle, even the Edge handle is customizable. That's just crazy. So let me show you how to do that. Go to the settings. You're here. Tap this icon and tap on handle settings. Tap this guy. And now what I can do is I can actually change the size of the handle. As you can see, it's getting bigger as I do this. I can change the transparency, so I can make it very visible or almost invisible. Okay, let's just keep it very visible. And I can also have it on the left or right, depending on where you want it. And I can have it on the top, middle, or the bottom. You can put this handle anywhere you want on the screen. And finally, if you want, you can add a vibrational feedback. So every time you tap on this handle, the Edge handle, it's going to give you a vibration. Okay, if you don't want the vibration, just disable it. I like to have a little feedback. Now let's keep it like this. Let me go back out. As you can see, the handle is now here. I cannot pull it from here. It's going to pull the screen to the next screen. But I can pull it right from here because that's where I put it. Guys, the Edge panels are fantastic. Like I said, always go to the settings. You can download more. You can reorder the panels. You can uninstall panels. So if I tap this, and let's say I don't want where's the one I just downloaded? The memory game. It's a game. You can even have games here. Let's say I don't want this one. I just tap this guy, and it's gone. Okay? It does take space on your phone, so be mindful of how many you're downloading. And one more thing I'm going to tell you guys is you can have a maximum of 9 Edge panels. So right now I have 7. Let me add 2 more, and I'll show you what happens. So 8, 9. Let me try to add the 10th one. Boom, it says can't use more than 9 panels at a time. All right, so just be mindful of that as well. So I don't need these guys. Again, I'm not going to go over every single panel here. You have the phone, so go take a look at it. But if you are going to download one panel, I recommend the Soft Key Edge, the calculator panel, and also the coin toss over here. Okay, the quick tools is included with your phone, but you can download the coin toss. That's basically a game. It's just like tossing a coin. If I go over here, where's that game? There we go. So basically you ask your friend heads or tails, they say tails, boom, and they got tails. All right, and you can keep doing this over and over. Tails, heads. So it's a heads and tails game. So I would say download those 3 panels. And one last thing with the edge panels, if I go to the settings, if I go to the display, and if I scroll down to edge screen, as you can see, there's something called edge lighting right over here. Basically, if you enable this, let's go inside. This is what's going to happen. The edge of the screen is going to light up every time you get a notification, okay? And you can also go to the manage notifications, and from here you can choose which apps you want to be used with edge lighting. So let's say somebody sends me a text message right now using WhatsApp or messages. What's going to happen is I'm going to see a light that goes around the edge of the screen that looks beautiful. And at the bottom, if you tap on advanced settings, you can change the color, and you can also change the how wide that lighting is. You want it thin or you want it wide, and of course you can change the transparency. Right now it's maximum, you'll see the full visibility, or you can make it invisible. I don't know why you would, but you want to keep it here. Alright, so that's basically everything you need to know about the edge screen. Alright, so in this video we're going to be learning just about everything about the S Pen. Now let me start off with talking about just some of the basics. So here we have a floating icon which can be disabled. If you tap the floating icon, it brings up the Air Command menu, and we're going to be talking about all these options. I'm going to show you exactly what they do. On top of that, also you can bring up the Air Command menu by hovering the S Pen close to the screen and clicking on this button. Okay, that brings up the Air Command menu as well. So immediately you understand that this button is not necessary. This hovering button is not necessary. You can always remove it if you so desire, or you can just keep it on the side here. And of course it is a floating icon, so you can put it anywhere you want on the screen. In case you want to keep it, it does not have to be in your way. So for this demonstration, I'm going to actually keep it floating over here. But if you want to, you can go into the settings and disable this floating icon. Now there's 2 ways to go into these settings. When you bring up the Air Command, you can either tap over here, which will take you into the full S Pen settings, or if you go into the settings from here, you can go to Advanced Features and you can go to the S Pen, and that's the exact same settings you can access from both sides. So just for your convenience, here is the option that disables or enables the floating icon. So if I tap this, that floating icon is gone. Now it's not going to appear anywhere on the screen. Now again, for this demonstration, I'm going to keep it on there. So let's tap it and it's right there. Alright, so again, I just want to make sure that you understand. I'm going to go over all these settings from top to bottom. But I just want to get out the quick tips out of the way. So the other tip I'm looking at here is the pointer. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but as I hover close to the screen, there's a little dot that appears on the screen that trails the S Pen. So the S Pen is not touching the screen, but there's a little dot that appears on the screen. Now, if that dot is bothersome, what you can do is you can simply disable it, and now there's going to be no more dots when you hover the S Pen close to the screen. And for this demonstration, I'm going to actually keep that off. Now let's start off by looking at Air View. So Air View is something that allows you to get previews of items when you hover your S Pen over certain items. You don't have to touch the screen. You simply hover over the screen, and like magic, the S Pen is going to give you some previews. So again, if you tap it, it will go into the details, and it will actually show you all the things that you're capable of doing. Let me take this guy and put it here for a minute. So if you launch your calendar, you can hover over calendar entries, and it's going to give you little previews. You can do the same thing in pictures. You can do the same thing with contacts and everything. Let me show you a couple examples so you understand exactly what I'm talking about. So let's go to the gallery. Here's the gallery. Let me go into my favorites over here. And let's say that I want to hover over a picture to see a quick preview. All I do is I go like that. And then you see a little preview. Now, not only do you get a little preview, you can preview the buttons. So there's the edit button, there's the share button, and here's the delete button. All right? And you can actually delete pictures right from here. So let me take a look. Let's say I don't need this picture right here. I go over to delete, I tap it. It asks me, do I want to delete it? Click yes, and it's gone. So that's the Air View. Now the same thing works in the phone. Now, like I said, the same thing works in the calendar view. So if I go to the calendar, let me launch the calendar, and let's just hover over this thing right here, As you can see, it gives me a preview for the 4th of Monday on which I was hovering is saying Labor Day. And again, remember, I'm not touching the screen. Okay. The other thing you can do is if I go to one of these text messages here, let me go to one that I have a address for, like a website address. Okay, there it is. So if I hover over a link, it shows me a preview of that website. Okay, so it could be google.com, amazon.com, whatever. If you hover your pen over the link, you get a nice and little preview, and if you have, of course, tap it, it takes you to the website. Okay, and finally, you can use this air view feature to actually scroll up and down on various screens. So let me just show you settings as an example. Let's just go to advanced features and take a look at that. If I hover at the bottom, it scrolls down. Again, I'm not touching the screen. If I hover at the top somewhere, it's going to catch it right here. So that's going to scroll up. Okay, so that is in fact the air view. Let's go back into the S Pen, and of course if you don't want it, you can always disable it. I personally enjoy it, so I'm just going to keep that enabled. Alright, so another feature that I want you to understand as quickly as possible, again before everything else, is if I scroll down over here, and don't worry, I will come back up here and go over everything. Over here at the bottom under removal, take a look at where it says alarm. This is absolutely essential that you enable this, because this will sound an alarm if you detach your pen, put it on the table, and then grab your note and walk away with it. Okay, that happens a lot. People forget their S Pens, and S Pen is not a cheap accessory. You can buy it for 30 bucks or 40 bucks. So make sure that you have this enabled. So if you do forget your S Pen behind and you walk away, the phone is going to actually sound an alarm and remind you to go get your S Pen. Alright, so make sure that's enabled. Alright, let's go back up. So what is the direct pen input, which is right here? This is actually quite an awesome feature. So let me just tap it. And basically it allows you to use handwriting using the S Pen for text messaging or even entering text anywhere it is available. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So enable that. So let's just go to Chrome over here. And on the top here, there's a bar, there's a writing area. So I can hover the S Pen and you'll see a blue icon. Go to that blue icon and tap it. And that's going to bring up a different kind of screen, not the keyboard, on which you can actually start writing anything that you want. So for example, let me get rid of that for a minute. And let me just say, W, W, W. And as you can see, that turns into W, W, W. Then I can put a dot if you want. If you tap it, it's going to give you a dot. And you can write anything. You can write Google. And as you can see, I'm purposely writing with my left hand. And as you can see, the recognition is superb. So I can just go .com. You can do the same thing in text messages. So if you go to text message, and let's say you want to say something to your friend, you just hover that, tap that blue icon, and I can start writing whatever you want. Okay? So that's a superb feature. Let me go back into the settings, to the S Pen settings, and continue with the other features. Now next up we have the screen off memo. So just enable that and I'll show you what this does. So basically when your phone is turned off, you can pull out the S Pen and without unlocking the phone, start taking notes on a black screen. Okay? It's a brilliant feature. Now I'll show you another way to do it as well. If you already actually have your S Pen, you can still use the screen off memo. You don't have to detach the S Pen to use the screen off memo. So first and foremost, let me turn off the screen. Hi Bixby, lock the screen. Okay, so the screen is off right now. So you have two options. If the S Pen was already inside your phone, you could have pulled it out and you could have just started writing. Now, if the S Pen is already out, it's not going to work that way. But then what you can do is you can just bring the S Pen close to the screen, press that button, and that's also going to activate the screen off memo, which is a fantastic little tool. So as you can see, I haven't logged in, but I can start taking notes. And I can go to the next page. I can take as many notes as I want. Then I can erase something. If I don't want it, I have an eraser here, so that's gone. I can go back to the first page. And then when I'm done, I can click Save in Notes, and it gets saved away. So that's the screen off memo. And of course, if you want to access your memos later, you can go in here. You can go to the Samsung apps, go to Samsung Notes, and the memo that you took on when the screen was off is going to be right here. Okay, so it's a fantastic way to take notes on the go. quick in and out. All right, let's go back into the settings and continue looking at everything else. Advanced features, S Pen, and the next thing at the bottom is the air command. Now we're going to be talking about the air command, then we'll come down and look at the rest of these features, okay? So air command obviously is this thing right here. You bring the pen here, you press the button, or like I said, you tap on that floating icon and the air command comes up. By the way, this floating icon does not accept touch input, so you cannot touch it with your finger, it's not going to come up. You need the S Pen to access it. So tap that, and let's take a look at this thing right here. You have a rotating menu. The first thing I need you to understand is this menu is fully customizable. So all you do is you bring up the air command, you go into the settings, and then you go to shortcuts. You tap it, and here it is. These are all the shortcuts that you're seeing when I pull up the air command menu. I can delete all these guys, okay? Let me just show you exactly what I mean. Go back out, tap it. Now there's only one left because that's all I had there. Now let's go back to settings, go to the shortcuts, and I'll show you quickly. On the top you have all the S Pen specific features. On the bottom you can actually create shortcuts to apps. So I can have a calculator app right here that I can put on my air command. I can tap that. And now we have a calculator. I can tap that and boom, I can do a quick calculation. So I just need you guys to be aware of that in case you want to actually modify this menu. Now the one thing I need you also to know is the maximum amount of settings you can put onto the air command are 10. So I'm going to take all these off. I'm just going to put back all the air command options, the S Pen, unique S Pen features, so we can take a look at all those guys. Okay, so let's go back out. And let's see what we have here. First one is very easy. You tap it, it takes you to all your notes. Okay. The next one is if you tap it, you click that, it creates a quick note so you can start taking notes. That's also very good. So you can save it, you can delete it, whatever you want. So those are the easy ones. And then the third one here is Smart Select. This is a fantastic feature. So let's click it and see what we can do. You can choose rectangle, or you can choose oval, or you can do the lasso tool. Basically, you can select anything on the screen and it's going to save that as a picture. Okay, so you can save this. You can even draw on it. So I can tap this right here. Now I can start to draw on it. You know, I can use different pens. I can take this pencil or pen here. Let's use this one. See? And then when I'm ready, I can save this. The great thing with this is, let me just go back out here. The great thing with this is if you use it, if you do bring it up, you have these different options. You can go rectangular, okay? So you could select any portion of the screen. You can do square, rectangle this way, vertically, rectangle horizontally, and it's going to select that one portion so you don't have to waste any space. Again, you can do a lot with this. You can share it, you can draw on it, you can save it, whatever you want to do, all right? So that's a Smart Select. The next one is called the screen write. So the screen write takes a screenshot of the entire screen as opposed to you selecting an area. So if I tap this, it took a screenshot, and now I can start drawing on it or whatever. When I'm ready, I can save it, share it, or crop it. And again, just to be clear, you could be anywhere in your phone. Let's say you were in the Chrome application, and let's say you were looking at just an example here, let's say you were looking at the news and you saw something interesting. You could simply go like that, tap that. You can say screen write. It's going to take a screenshot, and you can then, circle something interesting and just show it to your friend or share it with anybody else that you have to. Let's go back out here. The same thing, by the way, applies. Let me go back here for a minute. The same thing applies to Smart Select, so I can select anything on the screen. It doesn't have to be the home screen, obviously. Just want to make that clear. All right, so click that one more time. The next thing I'm going to talk about, let me skip this live message, glance, and let me look at magnify really quick. I'm going to take a look at these again. So magnify is a simple one. So if you tap it, you get a glass. If you hover anywhere on the screen, it magnifies that portion of the screen. The good thing is you have a control center here. You can tap it. You can decrease the magnification or increase it. All right, so I can go over here. Now it's magnifying even more. That's not bad at all. And I can even make the magnification window smaller. So if I tap this, it becomes bigger. Okay, And then again, I can do 150% magnification, so it's not too much. So that's magnify. Let's take a look at the next one. The next one, again, let's go back now to glance. This is also a very, very unique feature. So to enable glance, you actually have to be on an app. So let me go to Chrome, and let's say that I was looking at this and I wanted to send a text message to a friend of mine regarding this catastrophic news over here. So if I tap this here, what I can do is I can tap on glance. Okay, there we go. And that actually minimizes that window. So now I can go to my text message here and I can say something to my friend, and then let's say I forgot something about the article. I can just hover on the article, glance at it. Oh, okay, it's called Hurricane Katrina, whatever, right? And then I can go back here, it goes down by itself, and I can say Katrina and send it. So it's great for research, for quick glances like that. Again, I'm sending a text message, I forgot what I was looking at, I just glance at it. Okay, then when I pull the pen away, it goes down. So that's the glance feature. And then let's go back in here. Now this is the live message feature. This is one of the new features on the Air command. If you tap it, it's going to bring up a window. In this window, you have a bunch of options. By the way, let me get rid of this thing so you can grab this glancing thing and just put it back in the remove, and it's gone. So here you can choose different brushes. You can choose ink, you can choose glow, or you can choose sparkle. And then you can choose the thickness of the message, and then you can choose the color. Basically, this is a live message you can send to anybody, okay? So let me just write something real quick. Now, I can say play, and that's what's going to go to my friend. On top of that, if I go back over here, let's just click done on that. So it's saving it, as you can see. Now it's going to tell you the animation. All right, so forget about that. Let's do it one more time. Let me show you something more interesting. So if you go to sparkle here, let's choose a different color. Let's say it's going to be this thick. I can do things like that. Okay, so you can draw a heart. You can say hi, whatever. When you're ready, you can preview that by clicking play. And then when you're really ready, you click done, and it saves that. It actually saves it to your gallery, but you can share it right from here if you so desire. So all you do is you tap on share, and then it's going to bring up the sharing menu from which you can send as a text message and email. It's going to be a GIF image, so it can be sent to anybody using iPhone, Samsung phone, HTC phone, whatever. All right, so let's go back in there for a second to the Air command menu. And this time we'll take a look at the coloring option. If you tap on the coloring option, it brings up this screen from where you can actually start to color. Now this might be fun for some people don't care, some people do care. If I tap this, I have the option to start coloring this. I can get the blue one, I can just tap places, I can just color inside. If you have the patience for it, you can zoom in, so you can be more precise with the S Pen. If you got nothing else to do, you can do this. It also improves your skills actually, so that's a great thing to have. And finally, on the Air command menu, the one that I did skip by mistake, is the translate feature, which is a fantastic feature. So tap on this, it's going to bring up a control center, which is going to allow you to either translate words or phrases. And if I tap this, you see there's a little difference. So that's a word. If I want to translate one word, and if I tap this, it switches to the paragraph mode. So let's go to Google Chrome. Let's just pull up a story here, and let's just say that I want to translate a word from English to Turkish. So you can pick any language you want, by the way, so you have all these options. English, and if you tap this, that's to. I have Turkish set up here, so it's going to be from English to Turkish. So it's in the word format, so if I hover over one of the words, it's going to translate that word. So storm in Turkish is fırtına, right? And again, if I go over here, hover, there we go. Now that's individual word translation. If I want to do an entire paragraph, I tap this. Now I'm in the paragraph mode. So hover again. It's going to sense the paragraph. It's going to select the paragraph. And it's going to actually translate the entire paragraph to any language you want. So these are all the options you have. Of course, it is using Google's translation engine to accomplish this. So you know that it's very, very accurate. Now anyway, when you're done with this translation feature, you click X and it's gone, okay? And then you can bring it back from the Air command menu. Alright, so that was the Air Command menu. Let me go back into Advanced Features, go to S Pen, and that was the Shortcuts menu. So I showed you how to edit this. These are the S Pen features. These are regular apps. You can have anything you want over here, up to 10 apps or shortcuts. So let's go back here. We already looked at the floating icon. We already looked at the alarm. So let's take a look at this. This is very simple. What do you want happening when you pull the S Pen from its casing? So you can either do nothing, or you can automatically open Air Command. So when you pull your S Pen, boom, the Air Command comes up. Or you can actually create a note. So when you pull your S Pen, it just creates a note. You can immediately start taking notes. Or the way I like it, do nothing, so I can choose what I want to do myself. Alright, at the bottom here, not a very important feature. It's called the, let me just disable this thing right here, floating icon for now. So here's the power savers option. If you disable this, you may lose some battery power, but not too much. Just enable it. It's not going to hurt you in any way. Okay, so it's going to save some battery life. And the final two options at the bottom are the feedback options. So do you want to play sounds when you insert or remove the S Pen into its cover? So when you put the S Pen back, you get a nice little voice feedback. When you pull it out, you also get a nice voice feedback. You can disable that if you don't care about it. And also, by the same token, you also get vibrational feedback. Alright, so those are the last two options. And as you can see, we have traversed just about everything regarding the S Pen. We went over all the settings, and of course, we looked at every single individual Air Command option here. Now, before I jump into the details, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 has two cameras. There is a primary camera that will be used most of the time. It is 12 megapixels with an aperture of f1.7, and then there is a secondary camera with a telephoto lens which is also 12 megapixels but with an aperture of f2.4. This telephoto lens is designed for zooming into objects. And that's exactly what the specialty of this secondary camera is. It can perform 2 times optical zoom, and it is also designed for a very specific ability. An ability where you can focus on a primary subject with crystal clear clarity, making it stand out, while the background goes into a creamy blur, which is known as the bokeh effect. Alright, so let's dive in and figure all this out. Now, before I move into anything else though, I do want to make the distinction between that primary camera and the secondary camera I talked about. The first time you launch your camera, it's going to be using the primary camera, which, like I said, you're going to be using most of the time to snap shots on the go. But if you want to use that secondary telephoto camera, and if you want to utilize the zoom function, the 2 times optical zoom function, all you do is press this button that says X2. So if you press that, it's going to zoom in on the subject. So right now, the Galaxy Note 8 has physically switched into using that secondary camera. It is zoomed in optically 2 times. And if you press it one more time, it's going to zoom out and it's going to switch back to the primary camera. That's one way to use the secondary camera, by zooming in. The other way to use the primary camera is the live focus mode. If you tap that, again, it's going to switch into the secondary camera, but this time it's going to allow you to focus in on one subject while trying to blur out the background. So let me just show you exactly what I'm talking about. So we are currently in the primary camera mode, and as you can see, I have a lens sitting right over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the live focus mode and show you what it means to have the main subject in a crisp and clear focus, and the main subject in this instance is the lens, and how we can have the background blur out, which is known as the bokeh effect. So let's focus on the camera, tap on live focus. That's going to activate the secondary camera, so it's going to zoom in on the subject. And then I tap on this again to zoom in on it. And as you can see, the background is blurred out, but the camera is in crisp and clear focus. Let me take a picture and I'll show you that picture on the actual screen. So look at how we are actually focused on the lens and everything is blurred out, so the primary focus is on that lens. It's a really nice and cool effect. But that is basically the reason we have this secondary camera, to do these fantastic things. I can also tweak how much background blur I want. So I can go like that, as you can see, the background blur lessens, or I can go all the way up and the background blur gets stronger. Just imagine doing these things with real people. You can take beautiful portrait shots, or you can take pictures of anything that you like. Again, the point is to have a primary focus on this subject and the background blurs out. Alright, so let's move on. Alright, so the next tip I'm going to talk about really quickly before I dive into all the other settings that are hiding right over here. Again, I'm going to show you everything over here. Okay, let's go back for a minute. Let me just talk about all the interfaces that you're seeing on the screen here. There's a couple things you can do. The coolest thing you can do is you can use the entire screen as a viewfinder simply by tapping this button over here. So if I tap this guy, it's just going to expand everything and it's going to look much nicer. Now, just for the demonstration, I'm going to keep it like this because it allows me to better see all the controls, and I'm sure you can see them better as well. And of course, this button here is the button that allows you to switch between the rear camera and the front camera. So if you tap the button, it's going to switch over. Now it's the front camera. Tap it again, it's the rear camera. You can also flick on the screen like that. That's going to switch you to the front, and if you do it one more time, it's going to switch you to the rear camera. So let me just quickly get out of the live focus mode over here, because it's just a little bit distraction over there. And the other things that we're looking at here is we have the flash. If you tap that, you're going to be able to set the flash to turn on, turn off, or of course automatic. And those are some of the basics. And of course, if you take a picture, you'll see a quick preview right here in that small circle. You can always tap that and it's going to go into that picture. So if you want to, you can inspect that picture. Alright, now let's go into the settings really quick, and I'm going to show you some of my favorite features really quickly before I go and look at everything else. The first thing I want to talk about is what's right here is the tracking autofocus. Now this is actually fantastic, especially if you're doing a video recording of a moving object. So as long as this thing is enabled, here's what happens. So let's say I go back to the camera over here, and let me just zoom into this really quick, make it easy for a minute. And let me just tap on the phone here. Now, as you can see, the tracking autofocus has been enabled for that phone. So when I move that phone around, the tracker is going to actually follow it, and it's going to make sure that the focus remains on that black phone just because I tapped into it. Again, let me move it a little bit more so you can see how it works. As you can see, it will not lose focus of that primary subject that you tapped onto. Now this is great if you're recording a video of your pet. Maybe you're recording a sports game, you want to keep the focus on one particular player. You get the idea. So this is great for moving objects, and you can make sure that the focus remains on that one tracked object. When you're done and you want to disable it, you simply tap back on it and the auto tracking focus disappears. Alright, let's go back into the settings. I'm going to show you one more thing. All the way at the bottom, there's something called the floating camera button. If you enable the floating camera button and you go back into the camera, you'll see that now there's a button just floating on the screen. You can take this guy and you can put it anywhere that you want on the screen. This button does the same thing that this button does. So if I take a picture with this, I can also take a picture with this. The only thing is, this is so much more convenient because you can put it anywhere you want, even at the bottom of the screen. So if you're holding your phone like that, you would just press that and it takes a picture. Absolutely fantastic. Now let me go back into the settings, go all the way down, disable that because it looks distracting right now. And the other thing is you can use the volume keys for specific functions. You can program to work the way you want them to work. So the volume keys are right here. Right now, if I press one of these guys, if I go back out there and press it, it will take a picture because that's what I programmed it to do. If I go back into settings, again, go all the way down, I can tap on this thing. I can use it to record video. I can use them to zoom, or I can use them to actually change the system volume, which is what they're there for in the first place. But like I said, you can reprogram them to anything that you want. So if you do zoom, and if I go back out to the camera, I can now zoom in and zoom out with the volume down key. Not bad at all. Alright, so let's go back in there. I like to keep it at the photo setting, so let's just keep at the photo. And the other thing here is the shutter sound really quickly. So if you don't want the phone to make a sound when you take a picture, you want to disable that. So now you can take pictures silently. There could be a lot of crazy reasons why you would want to do that, but it's an option here. Okay, so if you want the shutter sound, which is a nice feedback, you can keep it on. But if you want to be stealthy, you can actually turn it off. So now when I go back here and I take a picture, there's no sound. So let's go back into the settings. Just two more things I want to show you here really quickly. All the way down again. Over here you have the quick launch option. Basically make sure this is enabled because this allows you to pull the camera out from any screen even if your phone is turned simply by pressing the power button twice very quickly. So if I was outside and let's say that the phone is turned off, all I have to do is reach over for the power button, just tap it quickly, and that quickly launches for camera and you can quickly take a picture and move on. So this way you never really miss a shot. Alright, so the next thing I want to talk about is if you go into the settings, all the way at the bottom again, you see something called a voice control. So basically you can take pictures by saying things like smile, cheese, capture, or shoot. So if you say any of those while your camera is active, it's going to work. Or if you want to record a video, you can just say record video. So if you want to do any of those things, make sure this thing is enabled. Just remember, if you enable this, Bixby voice has to be turned off. Okay, so this does not work in conjunction with Bixby voice because Bixby can do all these things for you anyway. So if I was out here, let me just disable that because it's not going to work right now because I do have Bixby voice enabled. But if I go back out here, hi Bixby, take a picture.
Got it. Picture taken.
So as you can see, you can use Bixby for voice controls, but if you didn't have Bixby voice enabled, then you can use the voice control options from here. Alright, so let's go back into the camera here really quickly. I'm going to show you a couple more things, very important things in fact. If you swipe over to this way, you see what is called the camera modes. You have the automatic mode, you have the professional mode, which is a full manual mode. I'm going to talk about that towards the end of the video. Let me just click it so you can see what it looks like. As you can see, it looks much more advanced. You have all these focal points, and then you have all these manual controls on the side, which is things like manual focus, white balance, ISO settings, shutter speed, and all that good stuff. I'll come back to this towards the end of the video. And notice that you have a couple more things over here. You can even pick things like the metering mode and all that good stuff. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll come back to it. Let's go back to the standard settings. So anyway, let's go back over here. From here, you can choose all kinds of different options. So let's say that you were taking a photo of food in a restaurant, you would pick the food option. That's going to make sure it optimizes the photo for taking pictures of food. And if I go back over here, again, you can do slow motion video here. That's going to be the video mode. Go back here, you have the hyperlapse mode. You have the sports mode, so you can take pictures of moving objects very easily. And one more thing, of course, you're looking at all these modes and you might be getting confused. You may be thinking to yourself, oh my God, what is all this stuff? I don't have the time to go into every single one of them and show you exactly what they do. But what you could do is if you swipe over, you can press this button right here and tap on information. And what that's going to do is it's going to break down and give you a description of every single mode. So it looks like the auto mode lets your phone do all the work. This is what most people use. If you go up a little bit, you'll see the professional mode, take control of your pictures, set the exposure, shutter speed, color tone, and ISO sensitivity manually. And again, the same goes with all these other things. So if you go to food mode, it says emphasize the vivid colors in your favorite foods. So make sure that you look at all these things so you can get more information, in-depth information about every single mode here. One more thing you can do, if you click download, it will take you to the store from where you can download even more modes. You can go to the free ones, which I already got, and you can go to the paid ones. There are a couple, well, there's nothing right now, but they'll probably be added soon. But you have all these options. Make sure you download everything so you have the maximum capabilities for your camera. Let me go back. And one more thing, if you, let's say that you are somebody that takes panoramic pictures all the time. Let's say this is a mode you use all the time. What you could do, let me go back to auto, is go over here, right? Tap this button and then choose Add Shortcut on Home Screen. And what that's going to do is that's going to add a shortcut, a camera shortcut to the home screen that will take you directly into the mode that you selected. Panorama is selected, tap on that icon, click Add Shortcut. Just pick the one that you want here. You can actually pick multiple ones, so that's even better. So you can do professional and slow motion. Click Done. And then when you go to the home screen, you'll see that you'll have these shortcuts. Let me swipe over one more time. You have the professional mode, panorama mode, and the slow motion mode. Just to give an example, if I tap on panorama, it takes me straight into that panoramic mode. Absolutely fantastic. So let's go back here. And the other thing is you can actually access, if you swipe over to this side, you have the ability to access the filters. So I can add filters, live filters to this thing. This is for the beauty face. And then here you have a bunch of settings, drag effects to reorder them. You can reorder the settings if you wanted to. Let's enable that. Again, these are the settings, effects that you can apply live. So that's one effect, another effect. You can preview them before you take a picture, okay? And that's if you swipe to this side. Now let me go back to the regular one here. All right. And one more thing, you can also access the stickers, and stickers, again, are going to show up on the side. And you have all these different options you can switch from and pick. This is all just fun stuff. But just to give you one example, here's a sticker. If you tap it, it'll add a sticker to the screen. Okay, so you take a picture, it's going to come with that sticker. So tap that, best friend. Take a picture of your best friend. Tap that, it says cheers, whatever, take picture, and this is going to be there. So let me take a picture. Let me exit this mode by tapping the back key. And now if I go back into that camera, you'll see that the cheers shows up right there. Not bad at all. It actually stays right here, so make sure you disable that. So let me go back to the stickers and tap it again. If you tap it, it activates. Tap it again, deactivates. All right, so those are the stickers. All right, so let's go back into the settings, and this time I'm going to talk about some other important things. Just one thing, when you first go into the settings, on the top you'll see the rear camera option. It says rear camera, and these options pertain to the rear camera. And then you have the front camera options, and then if you keep going down you'll see common options. And let's take a look at this. So obviously picture size, if you tap it, you can pick the picture size. You can pick something that's high resolution, or you can pick something that is not high resolution. And if you're a professional photographer, you probably recognize this option. You can save RAW and JPEG files. If you are not a professional, don't worry about that, okay? Anyway, so here you pick the picture size for the rear camera. And normally I would recommend you just keep it at 12 megapixels. That's for the maximum quality for the picture. The lower you go, the lower the resolution becomes, and the picture becomes less sharp and less clear. But that's not that important. The biggest thing actually is the video size. So if you tap on the video size, this is where you pick whether you want to record in 4K or full high definition. So UHD is 4K, the highest resolution you can record on. This records at 30 frames per second. That's QHD. That's a little bit lower than the 4K. But normally this is what we do. That's full HD. That's 1080p at 60 frames per second. This is also full HD, which is 1080p, but this is at 30 frames per second. The difference between this guy and this guy is that this guy is going to give you a smoother video. All right, so you can test that out. Record a video with this mode, like that, and then record a video, go back here, record a video with this mode here, and take a look at the difference. The 60 frames per second is going to be much more smoother. It's just going to look cooler. All right, and then you have all these options where you can pick different modes. Now, one thing to be aware of is, obviously, if you do the 4K recording, you're going to be wasting more space on your storage. If you do full high definition at 60 frames per second, that takes up more space than the full high definition at 30 frames per second. So just keep that in mind. And let's go back out here. We looked at the tracking autofocus. The timer is very simple. You turn the timer for 2 seconds, for example. You go back out here, you take a picture. It's going to do a countdown for 2 seconds before it takes a picture. So that's the timer. Then you have the HDR rich tone. This is high dynamic range. Make sure you can keep that in auto unless you really know what you're doing. Just keep that in auto. It's just going to get you the best possible pictures every single time. And if you scroll down a little bit more, you have the front camera options. Same thing, picture size, maximum 8 megapixels. You can lower it. And then you have the video size. You can actually record in QHD using the front camera. It's not 4K, but it's close to it. And then you have all these other options. Again, the lower the setting, the less space it takes on your phone's storage. Now let's go back out. And then here it says save pictures as previewed, which it doesn't matter. You can disable or enable this. And this one is called the shooting method. All right. So let's tap the shooting method. And again, remember, these are the front camera settings. So for front camera, you have this option called shooting methods. Tap it. And what you could do is, if you're taking a selfie, you can either tap the screen to take the selfie. You have to enable it, of course. This is not going to apply to the rear camera. It's going to be the front camera. Or you can show your palm to the front camera. It's going to take a picture. Or you can tap the heart rate sensor, which is on the back of your phone, right next to the camera, and that's going to take a picture. So there's 3 ways to take pictures with the front-facing camera, which is this camera, okay? And then again, you can set a timer individually for that. You can also do HDR for the front camera. And if you go down over here, you have the option to create a motion photo. If you enable this, and if you take a picture, what the camera does is it records a little video before and after the photo, and then you can preview that. So whatever photo you want to take is going to be taken anyway, but then it's going to take a little clip of video before the photo and after the photo, giving it a live effect. Again, this is something you just want to go ahead and try. Just take a picture with the motion photo enabled. I don't like it. And here we have the grid lines. Tap on that, you can have a grid line. So right now, if I go back out here, there's no grid. And if you don't have a grid, sometimes you cannot align your photos properly. So let me go back down, enable that grid. Let's do a 3x3. Go back out. Now you have a 3x3 grid. You can see it better if I put my hand, or I guess you can see it. So there's a grid line here that you can use to align the photo much better. Zoom in on that. Focus on it. So let's go back out here. You have the location tags enabled. If you enable the location tags, every time you take a photo, the camera is going to know exactly where you were. And I mean exactly. It can pinpoint your location, which is great if you want your pictures to be categorized by location later. But remember, if you have the location tags enabled, and if you take a photo of yourself, and then if you send that photo to somebody, they can actually go in and find your exact location. So this is a security concern. If you don't want that, make sure it is disabled by default, but when you won't know that you want to use it, you can go in and you can enable location tags so you can know where you took the photos. And the final thing here is the review pictures. So if I enable this, if I go back to the camera, if I take a picture, let's wait 2 seconds. It takes a picture and then it reviews the picture, all right? And then you can get out of there. So some people like to do that, all right? So settings, I don't like it because I think it's a waste of time. So don't review pictures after you take the pictures. And we already looked at all these things. Now let's go back out. We actually traversed everything here, okay? So you are a master of the camera settings. But let's go back over here. And now I want to talk about the professional mode that a lot of people wonder what it is. Now I did forget something really quickly. Let me go back in here to the settings. I just noticed I skipped over it. Over here it says video stabilization and it's grayed out. If you ever see this grayed out, the reason this is grayed out and not available is because you also have tracking autofocus enabled. So if I disable this guy and go down over here to video stabilization, now I can enable that. Video stabilization is necessary for a very good, well-stabilized video that looks nice and smooth. So make sure whenever you can, this is in fact enabled. Now let's go back into the professional mode. Now just to be clear, I can't just give you a lecture on how to fully manually control a camera because it is in fact an advanced subject. But let me give you an idea. Now if I go into the auto mode, right, and if I take a picture, everything happens in the background automatically. So what happens is the picture gets properly exposed. And proper exposure is the key, all right? For you to have a picture that is not too bright, which means overexposed, or something that is not too dark, which means it is underexposed. You want a well-balanced, properly exposed photo, just like this one that we just took, because it happened automatically. Now, what the manual mode allows you to do is it allows you to override all the settings for professional effects. Now, the things that make the exposure happen are things like the shutter speed of the lens, the ISO value, and the aperture. Now, with this professional mode, you can change those settings. So, for example, I can tap this and I can change the ISO mode up and down. I can go over here and I can change the shutter mode up and down. Now, as you can see, as I decrease the shutter speed, that means the shutter opens so very quickly that no light goes into the camera, then the picture is highly underexposed, so it's going to be dark. But then if I go up here with the shutter speed, if I take it up, if I open the shutter, so now the shutter is going to open slower. It's going to open, stay open, and then close again, as opposed to what I did the first time. As you can see, it is still underexposed, but it's better than before. But the whole point is to actually tweak these settings to get a properly exposed photo, all right? So you can manually control everything that usually happens automatically. Other things you can do is if I tap this over here, you can also add some nice effects. But this one here is the focus. So now I can manually focus in and out of this photo. As you can see, I'm not focused on the phone, but I can manually focus into it. Again, normally, it says MF now, by the way. MF means manual focus. So normally, with autofocus, in this mode, you just tap on the screen and it just focuses on whatever you want. With the professional mode, if you go to the manual focus, you have to focus completely individually. Okay, so that's what it means by manual focus, the manual mode. On the top here, you have the white balance. You can change the white balance depending on where you are. You can warm the colors or make it less warm, make them cool. And again, you have a dial, tap it. You can go up and down, as you can see. Okay, you can make it a warm photo. That's a nice effect as well. And that's it. That's basically what the manual mode is. Remember, to get a properly exposed photo, you have to make some adjustments. You have to work with the ISO, the shutter speed. You can do manual focus. You can also change the color balance. All those options are available here. What I would recommend, if you want to master this, go and study these values, the ISO value, the shutter value, the aperture value, okay? And learn how to, and then you can come back here and you can play with them. And that's basically it. So that's the professional mode. It's a highly advanced mode. It requires some additional training, some education that I cannot do here. But I do hope that I was able to steer you in the right direction. And that actually brings us to the end of this camera tutorial. And that also brings us to the end of this massive video. I hope you learned a bunch of stuff to enhance the ownership of your Note 8, a truly fantastic smartphone. Now make sure to subscribe to Saki Tech and give this video a thumbs up. And do not forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Saki Tech Online. Have a fantastic day.